Welcome back to another pregame hoops talk, and today we're talking NC State versus UAB for our podcast listeners. We're actually streaming this on YouTube, so you can also go check out the video feature at our YouTube channel at Inside Pack Sports. If you haven't done so yet, please go there and subscribe because we are going to be discussing and breaking down some player film today. We're going to talk UAB. We're going to discuss their two of the players that really stood out to us in their opener, and obviously talk NC State. I've got Jake McSwain with me. Jake, let's get into it. UAB, they opened the season like NC State. Big, explosive win, 106-55 over Mississippi Valley State. I know you looked at some of the numbers. I have as well. Give me one thing that stands out to you about UAB going into this matchup.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you're going to have way more competent guard play, like more comparable to like a mid-tier ACC team, like on some of their high-end guards, and it's just a big step up as far as talent goes, right? Like no disrespect to Central, like they're a good team and they have been like consistently good under their coach. So I'm sure they'll have a fine season, but from an athletic and talent standpoint, it's definitely going to be a step up. Like you got kids on this roster, and one that we'll talk about that had some real recruiting pedigree to them.
And look, when you put up 106 points in a game, obviously you probably shot the ball really well, and they were 50% from the field. Another thing, Jake, that stood out to me, they shot 37 free throws in the opener. They were 23 of 37 from the free throw line. So not really efficient, but man, they got to the line a lot. I think that's something with how aggressive NC State wants to play. They've got to keep an eye on in this matchup.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting because I think it's going to be one of the times where Will Wade's preseason comments of it looks like we're going to give up some open threes, but there's going to be strategic on how we do that. I think there's a couple guys on this squad that are going to get that treatment, like where it's going to look like an open shot, or like that's NC State's making a mistake, but in reality, that might be how they schemed it up.
9 for 26 in threes for this game for UAB, so they got up 26. We know their head coach Andy Kennedy was a sharp shooter in high school, in college. Started his college career at NC State. For those who don't know, was caught up in the Jim Valvano stuff. So some are spinning this as a potential revenge match for the Wolfpack. He played a role in some of the stuff that went on, reportedly at least, for Jim Valvano. But Jake, let's jump into it. Let's discuss a couple of their players who stood out on film from you watching their opener against Mississippi Valley State. Who do you want to go to first?
Let's start out with Chance Westry. So Chance is he's a 6'6" guard wing, transferred in from Syracuse, started his career off at Auburn. So like, this is one of the guys that was a legit recruit. I think he was a top 50 guy coming out of high school. And for those who are watching the video, like you're going to see a looped highlight clip of the first game they had against Mississippi Valley State. And he's a little dynamic. Like he can get to the rim. He's strong and athletic. And he does shoot the ball, it seems like decently well. Like he has kind of a funny release, but I mean, I think he shot 3 of 5 or 2 of 4 or something like that. So can knock it down. He's going to test whoever ends up guarding him in that first unit for NC State.
Yeah, Chance Westry started his career at Auburn, spent some time at Syracuse, had to have crossed paths with Copeland. So there's a little bit of a connection there for NC State in terms of Westry. He battled injuries during his time at Syracuse, so wasn't able to put a ton on tape. But you're right, looking at the clips, I mean, he's got great size for the wing position. One of the things that stand out to me is they're clearly running actions for him. They want him involved here at UAB, and he was a top 50 prospect coming out of high school. So I think when you look at it from a scouting perspective for State, this is likely a guy you'll see Terrence Arsenault, Copeland probably draw the matchup for.
Yeah. And one thing I will say too, I was looking at how many rebounds he had because I wanted to check that. It seems like a guard with size that's going to crash the glass. So like to your point, he's a little bit like Copeland with a little less length, a little more shooting probably, but is good. Definitely, if UAB is going to have a spark plug that comes into this game and helps them beat NC State, this is probably, in my opinion, the guy that it's going to be.
Yeah, this is one. I think when you're NC State and you go into matchups like this, you know you're expecting to face a roster that has transfers on it. And so typically, what are you going to look for? You're going to look for production clearly, but you're going to also look for recruiting pedigree and background. A lot of times, Jake, you notice on the basketball side, it's about opportunity. And so you'll see players that are top 25, top 50 prospects go somewhere else, get a real opportunity and flourish. And I think that's why with Westry, he's a dangerous player. He's somebody that NC State in in their opener, 23 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals in 20 minutes, 8 of 12 from the field. So he got up 12 shots in 20 minutes, 3 of 5 from 3. Also shot 8 free throws. Like the usage rate had to be high for him in this opener.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, it's funny. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but the dude from UAB last year transferred to Michigan, was like the #1 transfer portal guy in the country. Like UAB, they've developed guys like this. They've they've given guys roles that have allowed them to succeed. So like this is one that you got to circle, and shut them down a little bit.
Who else you have for us? I think we want to go to Jacob Meyer, point guard, combo guard.
Yeah, let's talk Jacob Meyer. Another transfer came in from DePaul. He's smaller, can shoot the ball. I think he was 1 of 3-ish last game, but I think he can shoot more than that. The form looks pretty good, but a real crafty game. Like if you run him off the 3-point line, from what I've seen on film, he can get into the lane and make things happen. He has a good little floater, can get all the way to the rim when pressured, but for the most part, he's looking to finish in front of the big man. So when I'm thinking about NC State's brand new front court rotation, I'm interested to see how they play a guy like this. Like, is it going to be they're running out, trying to block the shot? Are they walling up? Like, how do they decide to play a guard who's going to try to be crafty in the lane?
Look, this is, in my opinion, I would say Meyer might be even more dangerous than Westry. Looking at his background, he started his career as a true freshman at Coastal Carolina, where he averaged 16 points per game, 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists as a freshman, and playing 34 minutes a night. Led to him getting an opportunity at DePaul, where he started half the games, only played 19 minutes a game there, but still was able to average 9 points per game. So he was still productive at DePaul. He opens it up here at UAB with 22 points in their opener in 23 minutes on 57% shooting from the field. Crafty. He's a scorer, though. I think that stands out to me. Even at 6'2", 190 pounds, he's looking for a shot. I mean, looking at his metrics previously at Coastal, he averaged 2.5 assists per game. At DePaul, 0.7. Didn't have one in their opener. Yeah, he's shooting the ball.
Yeah. No, he's definitely looking. He's going to get his first and foremost, right? And when you look at the stats on this, and you go like Evan Meyer, I go to him a lot for college stats because he'll show you a team's best 2-man lineup and best 3-man lineup and the amount of possessions they spent together. So for UAB in a game where they're blowing out a team and moving guys in and out a lot, Meyer and Westry were their best 2-man combination that they had amongst their players. And outside of that, they have other competent guards. And so you brought up the point, and I'm interested to talk about this because of like who's going to guard who. Like you have Westry, you have Meyer. So, Copeland's presumably going to guard one. If Arsenault starts, like he'll probably start on the other. But they have some other pieces too. Like Ahmad Robinson, per Evan Meyer stats, was their most efficient player, had the best BPR, combining offense and defense. And he had, close to a triple-double in that game. So it's going to be a matter of everyone, all the guards and people who are playing on the wing are going to have to defend in this game. That's why it's going to be more of a true representation of a high major college game, because there's no one on the court that's going to be able to play off and kind of play in space a little bit.
And look, we've mentioned 2 players, and both of them were transfers from the ACC/SEC and also the Big East. So they're going to have talent on UAB's roster. NC State opens this game as a 14-point favorite. So, Jake, we know it's going to come back to NC State. So let's shift our discussion now to the Wolfpack. Give me something. It might be hard to find because you watched NC State really, I think, look outstanding in their opener. But give me something you want to see NC State improve on from their first game, the win over North Carolina Central.
Yeah, I think it's going to be rebounding, and I think that's going to be the consistent answer throughout the course of this year. Central, they did fine on the offensive glass, had a good amount of second chance points, and it's a really tough one for me because I think it's the obvious answer and the one you're going to point your finger at. But at some point, you have to take a step back from this and say, is NC State making just a logical trade-off play with that? Like, are we going to say, hey, we'll give you some offensive rebounds, but we're going to just overwhelm you on the offensive side of the ball? And with the pressure it allows us to give you, like the steals that we generate, is it worth getting 5 more steals a game to give up 3 offensive rebounds because you have more athleticism on the court and you're not trotting Scotty Abube out there for extended minutes? Like, I think it's something that you're going to have to live with as NC State.
You know it from basketball, coaching basketball. Your systems, there's going to be weaknesses tied into how you want to play. It's all a matter of what you're willing to give up, what you want to give up. And we know with NC State, this is a team that they want to pressure you. They want to really try and force steals. They want to really try and run you off the 3-point line at times, and they want to see if you can finish. Can you score around the rim? Do a bunch of different things to where, like you said, keep bodies around the rim if you're NC State. And I think when I look at this team, the rebounding to me it's a concern, but I just think so far what we've seen through 2 games, they've been so good offensively that I'm more than willing to take that trade-off and say, look, I'm just going to go out there and outscore you and find a way to get stops more often than not. And because NC State also, I think they're doing a really good job on the glass, on the offensive glass, trying to create additional possessions. This is just really, I think you're saying, probably a defensive rebounding issue more than anything else.
Yeah, offensive rebounding, like size is kind of negated there. You'd almost rather be smaller, quicker to get offensive rebounds because you can knife in there and get it away. And I think defensive rebounding, like I said, could be an issue against certain teams, and it's something they're certainly, I think, going to have to get better at as the season goes on. But at the end of the day, again, it's like we're just our identity and DNA is going to be to overwhelm you on offense. If we give up some defensive or some offensive rebounds in the process, so be it.
UAB forced 26 turnovers in the opener. I was really impressed with NC State's ability to take care of the basketball in their opener. I think they only had 10 turnovers in that game. And so I think that's something they're going to have to focus on here against UAB. UAB, they forced a lot of turnovers. They won they were plus 15 on the glass. So State has to be better from a rebounding standpoint. I also want to see a better performance, Jake, from Terrence Arsenault. I didn't think he ever really got going in this game in the opener against Central. And I know Coach Wade said afterwards that he had been, I think he said his Achilles was a little sore, so they didn't really push it with him. This is a guy that we both have spent a lot of time in the offseason talking about and the potential impact he can have on the defensive end. So I would like to see him have a really good performance for NC State.
Yeah, and I think the foul trouble probably, like you said, played into that. And once the game's out of hand too, it's just like you might as well roll with what's happening. And I think that's not going to be the first time. It's unfortunate for him that that's the first game of the year when that happens. But at the same time, like it's going to happen to multiple guys this year where it's like, what's the best analogy to use? Like when you're in fantasy football and you have a stud running back and it's just like once or twice a year, they're going to get caught up in a game script issue where it's just like they kind of get negated. Like it's going to happen to multiple guys outside of maybe like a Darrion Williams. Like guys are just going to get scripted out of the game based off how it's flowing. But to your point, I would love to see it kind of course correct in game 2 and maybe see him hit a shot or two would be helpful.
I agree. I mean, I think this is a player that State is going to look to try and rely on here throughout this season. They have high expectations for him. And the other thing, Jake, I want to mention before we get going, I talked about this in my 6 Thoughts column on the website, InsidePackSports.com. I'm a little worried about NC State starting flat in this spot. I think that first game, so much build up, so much hype, a lot of emotion in it. They played so well. You come back out Friday night, 9 p.m., UAB, which again, I think UAB has their attention, but still a late night game after just that emotional season opener. It's hard to say that for North Carolina Central, but I think you know where I'm coming from, right? Like it was a different North Carolina Central game for NC State because it was that first one under Will Wade. So I think if you're State, you cannot afford to start slow in this game. You need to come out and really try and get going early on UAB and put some pressure on them because they're a team that's capable. They're capable of upsetting you if things fall their way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is a losable game. Like it's not a game that NC State like Central. You could come in and play your D game and you walk away from that with a win. Like UAB can beat you. They have the horses in the stable to do that. I'll be really interested to see how UAB plays it. I was looking at how I was just now looking through their last game and the stats on that. Like they ran some zone against Mississippi Valley State, and I'm really curious to see how many teams try to zone NC State this year. I talk about it in the kind of game recap I did against the Central game when they went zone. And it's like, man, you talk about Darrion Williams and his effect on a zone defense, like being able to park him in the middle of that, like they knifed it up. I would be interested to go back and look at the actual stats on how State did. but its teams aren't going to be able to change the pace on you like that too much with him as a type of player parked in the middle.
All right, let's do it. Let's go ahead and wrap this pregame hoops talk up. Who you got, NC State versus UAB? I'll go first. I like the home team. I like NC State, 15-point favorites. I'm expecting NC State to start a little slow, get settled in, and I think they're going to win this one. I'm going to say by about 18. Who you got?
Yeah, I got State by they're going to cover. I feel very I'll have money on State covering.
There you have it. NC State versus UAB tonight, 9 p.m. in the Lenovo Center. Yes, it is a late one for the Wolfpack, and we will have the post-game hoops talk going on the website afterwards. And so if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe here, Inside Pack Sports on YouTube, and also check out the website, www.insidepacksports.com, for the latest information on NC State athletics.